Hey, welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I'm your host, Jeff Hootselle. Hey, as you guys know, Tech Talk is a show we talk to IT leaders really across all different industries and technology. We get their kind of unique perspective on what's happening in the technology world today, as well as their experiences, especially right now with things that are happening due to COVID and kind of the world we live in. We've always got fantastic guests. Today is no different. We've got Josh Allen today. Josh is the CIO with Dalechek Technology Group. Josh, thanks for coming on and joining us today. Welcome from St. Louis.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Josh, maybe from the beginning, why don't you talk to folks about Dalechek and kind of what you guys do as a company?
Yeah, so Dalechek is a managed services provider, and we focus mainly on Microsoft technologies. So the idea there is that we want to allow teams to kind of expand their capabilities so that they can focus on strategy while we maintain day-to-day operations, whether that's on-prem, uh, in a data center, or if that's out in a public cloud like Microsoft Azure.
Yeah, you talk about teams. I mean, that's been one of the big things of note to the public right now. Now we've been living on Teams, for the past few months as our company, as we've kind of migrated and worked from home. What have you guys seen with that as far as how you're helping your customers, migrate from that traditional, office environment to working from home? What does that look like, and how's that been for you guys?
Yeah, so we've seen a huge increase in Microsoft Teams adoptions for sure. And really, where it typically starts, right, is everyone's looking for audio video conferencing as they shift to remote work. And as we come in and kind of help them make those shifts, we help with governance, data strategies, and the actual rollout. But at the same time, we want to highlight all of the features, show them collaboration tools, and we've actually seen a lot of increase in productivity for a lot of these people who've gone to remote work because they didn't realize that there's a lot of capabilities to collaborate, file share, to be able to edit documents at the same time, and things like that. So it ends up becoming this really kind of big package for everybody of capabilities they had no idea that they even had access to through the 365 licenses that they already have.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think we've seen that same theme across a lot of the clients that we work with, where they always had kind of the traditional business model of 9 to 5, come in the office, sit at your desk, have the meeting in the conference room. These tools have been available for a while, but as far as the willingness to embrace them, has maybe not been hasn't been forced upon them. Where it seems like now we've come farther in the last just handful of months than we have in years with this stuff, especially when it comes to video conferencing. I mean, I don't know what your experience has been like, but just the ability to get people to turn the camera on, has been a challenge in the past. What have you guys seen from that standpoint, as far as just an adoption standpoint?
Yeah, so internally here, we are nationwide, so we're set up for remote work. And one of the only ways that we can really function that way for our remote employees is to be able to utilize video functioning. So for us, that's very second nature. And the way that we kind of position that with our clients is as we're going through kind of Teams adoption, anytime we're on a meeting with them, we're turning on the camera, and that starts to get them to turn on the camera. And then they start enjoying that. So they start using that with their team. And anytime we're doing that, as we're rolling these things out, we're having those guys turn on the cameras. And once they kind of get used to it, I think everybody realizes how much they like it. And then it kind of just tends to spread organically that way, um, just because especially right now everybody is enjoying being able to see each other so that they feel some semblance of connection and like they're in the office a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I think you mentioned, I think it's opened a lot of people's eyes to, hey, we may actually be getting more productivity now that we're at home versus when we were remote. I mean, I don't think they're going to let everybody work from home forever, but I think it's certainly opened the eyes to a lot of management staff out there, and kind of how things can go. I'm curious, from your conversations you guys are having with your customers today, where do they fall right now as far as just their outlook on the next 6 to 12 months, and how they're going to approach it from an IT standpoint? I mean, everybody kind of had their plans in January of 2020 for all the projects they're going to tackle this year, and I don't think many of them included adjusting for a pandemic. How have you guys seen that change and the mindset of your customers change in the past few months?
So we've seen a couple different things. The biggest is, as you've pointed out, everyone's pretty much blown their budgets for the year, and they're trying to figure out how we get through the remaining months. Um, that is actually where we try and help position ourselves, is by, you know, helping to extend existing capabilities of IT organizations, right? So everybody has these huge lists of things that they need to get done, and now all of a sudden they may not have enough people to do it. They may not have enough money to do it, or just enough resources in general. And so our model is to come in, we can manage services around the entirety of the Microsoft stack. So whether that is Microsoft Teams administration, whether that's Exchange and Active Directory, SQL, any of those things, we can admin those on a day-to-day basis for much less than it would cost for a singular resource. And then you get access to an entire team. And so that kind of frees up the existing resources to still be able to make some traction on some of the things that really need to get done this year while they start planning for what next year's budget is going to look like. And by including a managed service provider like Dalechek into that, it shows even in the future, you can start doing more with less, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's what you tell me if you're wrong. I mean, we're seeing this a lot too. The more progressive customers are starting to realize we don't want to do all this tactical work, right? We need to be thinking about our business and what we do as a business, not being technology architects and things like that. And is that our sole business? It's hey, let's focus on what we do really well. Let's move the tactical stuff off to great partners like yourself, and let's think more strategically about it. Is that kind of how you guys approach things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a great example are like e-commerce sites, right? Where typically your whole IT staff is making sure that you've got the architecture in place, the infrastructure is running, and that you're pushing code. Well, if we come in and we own the architecture, we own the infrastructure, we're making sure that you have service availability, all of a sudden your whole team can focus on that those code pushes. And so now you're able to get out faster updates, new feature requests, things like that. So that is what it's all about, is what's important to your business. Let's let you focus on that. Well, we just handle all that day-to-day stuff that's dragging the team down.
Yeah. I'm curious, just your perspective on it as we kind of look forward, look in your crystal ball, and you start to think about a year out or 2 years out. What do you think kind of the lasting lesson, or really what we're going to learn from COVID kind of moving forward, and kind of how it's changed the business landscape? What do you kind of think that looks like a year from now?
I really think that COVID has kind of pushed two things to the forefront, right? One is kind of more openness to remote work. I mean, there's no business that's ever probably going to be able to go 100% remote. I mean, even we who are designed for remote work, we still have accounting, HR, things like that, right? But it certainly has opened up the ability and the comfort level for a lot of people to allow more remote work. And that's, I think, going to benefit everybody. The other thing that I really see coming from this is, even though cloud adoption was progressing pretty quickly, I think you're seeing even some additional industries that typically lag behind, whether that's financial or industrial, really starting to embrace that as well, because they're having to some extent, work from home a little bit now. And everyone's asking, hey, how can I make sure that all this stuff is readily available no matter where anybody is? And that's, slamming VPNs and office network connectivity. And it's really driving cloud adoption. And now everyone's getting more and more comfortable with that. So I think we're going to continue to see cloud really accelerate, but in industries that we wouldn't expect to see for the next couple years.
Oh, that's great. So, so Josh, tell me about folks that want to find out more about Dalechek and what you guys do and how you can help with their environments. Where should they go to find out more about you?
The best place to go is to our website, which is dalechek.com, Dalechek. We have all of our MSP programs listed there, our licensing, our help desk services, and we have forms on there to get in touch with people here, and call-in numbers, everything you could need to get a hold of us in any way that you would so choose.
No, that's great. Well, Josh, thanks so much for coming on and joining us today. Love your perspective on this stuff, and it's great to hear how you guys are helping customers out in this environment. And let's hope we stay connected, and hopefully we get out to St. Louis sometime and see you guys in person.
Absolutely. And again, thank you so much for having me today.
You got it. Hey, thank you guys for joining us as well. We'll look forward to catching you on our next Tech Talk.